So today we are talking about ApeCoin. And if you weren't one of the lucky few to have tens of thousands of dollars airdropped on your forehead, like all the Bored Ape Yacht Club NFT owners, you're probably trying to decide, is it worth buying the ApeCoin token as it is now on the centralized exchanges? So in today's video, I'm going to be breaking down what I think. Now, I preface that by saying what I think because at the end of the day, I'm just some dude on YouTube who likes making content about crypto. I could be wrong and have been wrong quite a bit, actually, in the past. So just take this information in stride and maybe use it to go ahead and influence your overall research into the ApeCoin project. So let's go ahead, let's jump in. I have the ApeCoin site pulled up here. Now, again, this thing went ahead and it launched, what? A little bit under a month ago, and it went ahead and a nice little rally up, right? It touched right there around 1775, and then it consolidated as people had those tokens airdropped to them. It's pretty hard not to sell when you're staring at tens of thousands of free dollars in your wallet. And it kind of seems like now we've kind of hit a point where it's stabilized to some degree. Now, we don't have a ton of historical information on this thing, so we're kind of going off of the chart here, but it isn't like it's like a 2 or 3 year long chart that you can really have a lot of confidence in. All right. So in saying that, the token itself is APE. And by the way, can we just appreciate the fact that token call sign was even available? Like, that's wild. Anyhow, it looks like the main purpose of you owning this token is to go ahead and participate in the DAO governance of ApeCoin. Now, if you didn't know, DAO is decentralized autonomous organization. And in essence, it boils down to if you own a token for ApeCoin, you can vote in referendums that are brought up by the community. It could be maybe adding staking. It could be running another airdrop. It could be earmarking some of the project's funds to build a game platform. So you're able to propose those options, also vote on other referendum that other community members have put up. And then in the background, there's a board who kind of oversees the direction of the project and kind of makes sure it's steering in the right way. And then over time, I think they're going to try and relinquish more and more of that control to the token holders themselves. Okay, so that's kind of what you're getting at. Now, outside of that, going through all the information that they have right now on their website, it looks like the main targeting is going to be around exclusive games, launching of merch, exclusive events, and services. So that's kind of where they're earmarking this token. Now, they do also go ahead and they mention potentially looking at building a ApeCoin NFT marketplace. So that could be pretty interesting. I went ahead and I pulled up. What's up, Vaughn Estates? Welcome to the chat, brother. So I pulled up their ecosystem fund allocation, and this is one of the proposals that one of the DAO members put up. And it's really, I think, illuminating when you look at how they're marking some of these funds. So the vast majority of this, so 3.2%, is going to go straight to game development. And that's not shocking. We'll get into it a little bit later in this video, but in essence, they're backed by Animica Brands as well as FTX's gaming venture division. So I would look at this really, really strongly as a GameFi launchpad platform. And then from there, again, we kind of touched on some of the stuff, but launching merch, paying for all their marketing expenses, blah, blah, blah. Now, looking at some of the tokenomics here, I have to be honest with you, I'm kind of blown away. And it just goes to show like the power of marketing in the still super early of crypto. Okay. This thing has 1 billion token supply, billion. And they went ahead and they dropped a quarter of that token into circulating supply. And it's still hovering around 12 bucks. Okay. I've reviewed, I don't know, like 3 dozen different projects. I have like 1 billion tokens, and they have a fraction of the circulating supply already unlocked, and they're hovering around like 50 cents, 25 cents, a buck. Like, the fact that they were able to do that, I mean, it's just amazing. It just is. Calling it what it is. So what else do we have here? We covered the circulating supply. Now, it is worth mentioning that the token for ApeCoin is actually static. They mentioned in their quasi white paper on their website that there is no deflationary mechanic, right? They're not burning tokens, and there also isn't an inflationary mechanic. They're not adding more tokens. So what you see, in essence, is what you get. Now, the one thing you do have to keep in mind is that there is a vesting schedule. Let's see if I'll jump forward here a little bit. I guess we'll get to the vesting schedule in just a second. But circling back here, so if you were a holder of a Bored Ape NFT, a Mutant Ape NFT, or a combination of either of those with Kennel Club, then you went ahead and you had these many ApeCoin tokens airdropped on your forehead. Okay, so if I do some quick math here, hold on. I should have done this already, but I didn't because preparation is bozo. Let's say you had a Bored Ape token plus Kennel Club, and those are going for $10 right now. So that's 100 grand. You were airdropped $100,000 if you had that. What's interesting too is all those folks who are airdropped, those tokens are unlocked right now, so they can sell at any moment. But as we kind of see in the price right here, doesn't look like that many people are selling. I think they think this thing has a lot more potential to go up. Okay, so we touched on some of the folks who are actually backing this project, and I think if we look through that, it gives us a pretty solid indication of the potential that this thing has to actually execute on what they're targeting. So we have the co-founder of Reddit, social media platform, as well as general partner of 776, which is a private equity firm, a venture capital firm. We also have the head of ventures and gaming at FTX. We have a principal at Sound Ventures, another venture firm. Yat Su, who is the founder and chairman of Animica Brands. We've talked about Animica so much on this channel, and I am a huge Animica fanboy. I'm just letting you know. Seems like nearly everything they touch turns to gold, at least for them. Maybe not the bag holders who buy after them, but at least for them it does pretty well. And then they also had Horizon Labs, president and general counsel. So that's pretty neat to see. So they have a bunch of folks kind of coming into this thing. Now we look at the tokens allocation. So 62% of it right now is earmarked for ecosystem. And then we go ahead and we have, looks like 16% is set up for the Yuga Labs plus the charity. One thing I didn't really like about this is Yuga Labs is, it's the same group as the Bored Ape Yacht Club's founders. So in essence, they're kind of like double dipping on this thing, right? They're getting paid out here and then also getting paid out there, but whatever. Quick pause for comments. What we got? Vaughn! I see more people started to hold in the past 7 days as it seems to be its bottom price now. Time to make the turn. Yeah, dude. I don't want to ruin my video here, but I'm feeling pretty bullish on ApeCoin. Yeah, I think there's a lot of potential, especially with the folks who are backing this thing. Come on. So anyhow, we walked through that. Let's see what else we have here. Now, one thing to keep in mind is the vesting schedule. So again, if you were airdropped those tokens, those are unlocked right away. That's what it says right here. All unlocked at claim. But the early contributors, so these venture firms, other folks who have helped get this thing off the ground, they have different vesting schedules that in essence range from, a 1-year lock all the way up to a 3-year fully unlock. So pretty much within that time frame, you're going to have these tokens begin to be unlocked and potentially see some selling pressure from the founders. Now, I watched the video that Coin Bureau put out on this thing, and I thought Guy made a really good point in the fact that it's probably unlikely for the project itself to go ahead and begin selling their tokens because it's a pretty shitty vote of confidence on the project if the founders are selling it. And it's all transparent on the blockchain too, right? So it isn't like they can hide it. So I think, not financial advice, I think that really isn't something to be that concerned about going forward. And then, of course, the Bored Ape Yacht Club founders, they also have an initial lock for 12 months. and then they get looks like 2 million tokens unlocked per month for 3 months. So yeah, they're going to be doing pretty darn well for themselves. Another thing I thought was just, an interesting thing to look at is just how quickly ApeCoin was able to build its social media presence and pop up as like the GameFi platform, really in the span of a couple weeks, right? Because this thing like came out of nowhere. On their Twitter, they already have 250,000 followers, and they're also verified. And if you look at the project, this sucker's already listed on pretty much any exchange that you could care for. Like, there's some serious money and thought, as well as just straight up execution on their game plan to getting this thing done. And again, I think if you look at the long-term horizon, right? If we look at ApeCoin a couple years down the road, I feel that it's going to do pretty well. I think it's going to do pretty well. I think the price it shows right now is kind of the market trying to decide, is it worth it or not? And for me, I think it is. I think it's worth it. So let me go ahead and let me give you a couple examples here of what to look forward to kind of going forward. So if you own the token, if you're thinking about buying the token, let's look at a couple pump triggers. The first one is the usage, okay? So the ApeCoin is meant to be not only the governance token, but also the utility token. So as they go ahead and they build out some of those games, some of those NFT marketplaces, ApeCoin is supposed to be the utility coin used throughout. So if that actually happens, then demand of the token will go up, supply will, relatively stay the same, therefore prices will rise. In addition to that, if we look at Bitcoin, which again, I probably should have pulled up before I did this live stream, but whatever, covering my bases right now. If Bitcoin went ahead and had another bull market rally, this project is going to be one of the top in GameFi to benefit from that pump, regardless of the fundamentals. Like, regardless of if it needs it, deserves it, anything, it's going to pump. I think outside of that, you look at some partnerships. So they have Benji's Bananas is one of the first games to launch on ApeCoin's protocol and use the ApeCoin in its ecosystem. If they go ahead and they announce some other key partnerships, some big names, lure in like some traditional gaming developer into this space, like all those things could send this thing pumping. And then finally, for potential pump triggers, I think looking at the news, right? The value in crypto for a lot of these things is marketing, as much as we hate it or not. Like, you can have a great project, but if you can't market it, nobody cares because they don't know, right? They don't know. And the fact that this thing was able to kind of rode the coattails of Bored Ape Yacht Club, blow up as fast as it did, and at least as of now, sustain that presence is just ridiculous. So I think being linked to the Bored Ape Yacht Club, any good news for them will likely have ramifications for ApeCoin and onward and onward and onward. Now, we go ahead, we talk about some potential dump concerns, okay? Dump concerns. One is the unlocks, all right? So we already mentioned, see if I can pull it back up here. Where is it? We already mentioned that all of the folks who received the airdrop, their tokens are unlocked right now. So if this thing jumped up to $100, you're going to have a whole bunch of people selling. It's going to happen, 100%. In addition to that, there's been a lot of projects that have approached DAOs before, and it's really difficult to do because everybody likes the idea of a DAO, but oftentimes nobody participates. It's like this small select few of individuals who actually care enough to participate, actually care enough to vote in the referendum. So then if a whale comes in and they own a ton of tokens, now they're able to influence things however they want. Now you do have the ApeCoin, the ApeCoin board kind of in the background overseeing, making sure everything's staying the course. But then at that point, what's the purpose of a DAO, right? If it's controlled by the whales and overseen by the board, the average person, you and I, still don't have any control with it. I think in addition to that, right, the double-edged sword of being connected to Bored Ape Yacht Club. So if there's good news, pump. But if there's bad news, dump. And Bored Ape Yacht Club has been like, the flag in the ground on the copy and paste JPEG argument on NFTs. So if something negative were to happen there, it could have some ramifications for ApeCoin as well. I think also I didn't see a roadmap here. That could be tied to the fact it's connected to the DAO. So they're waiting for the community to kind of collectively create that roadmap. And then finally, exchange listings. Like, if you're like me, when you watch these things, one of the big triggers is oftentimes a Coinbase listing or a Binance listing. And the fact that those are already done, there's no pump from just an exchange listing going forward. Yeah, let's see what we got in the comments. Vaughn, market cap of NFTs is 10 billion and in the early stages. Imagine what it's going to be in the next 10 years, like the early stages of the internet. Yeah, I could not agree more. See, the challenge has always been like, I think for the most part, people believe in Web3, but it's finding your pick. It's finding your pick and then holding it long enough to actually benefit from your wise decision originally. When it comes to these things, ideally, I would have liked to have been a recipient of an airdrop because I feel like buying it on the market, there's just so much more risk, right? But in saying that, I think ApeCoin is going to be something I'm going to purchase and add into my GameFi portfolio. We really haven't touched on this very much in the last couple weeks, but in essence, I created a portfolio. After I review a project in the GameFi space and I like it, I buy about $100 of it. And my goal is to have about 20 to 25 different projects within that breadbasket of projects. So 80% of them are probably going to lose me money. 10% are probably going to trade sideways. And hopefully the other 10% make me a whole bunch of money. So I think ApeCoin will likely go ahead and slide in and be added to that portfolio today. What else we got? Susanna. What's up, Susanna? Yo, Susanna. Definitely something worth keeping an eye on. Think long term. Dollar cost average in the bear. Good chance you will do well. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, look, hold on. Let's do this real quick. Coin market cap gaming. So what I just did here is I typed in coin market cap by the projects that are within the gaming sector. So Metaverse, Web3 gaming, all of it together. This thing launched about a month ago, and it's already in the 4th spot. Okay, ahead of Gala Games, Engine, Wax, Illuvium, Yield Go Games, all these different things are already way ahead of them. And I think we still are super, super early, just like Vaughn said. Hopefully I said your name right, by the way, bud. Sorry about that. Yeah, so I'm feeling it. So yeah, let's wrap this thing up. ApeCoin, I like it. I like it a lot. I think, again, I would have loved to had been airdropped a whole bunch of tokens. I think that is obviously position number 1. Now that that's happened, I think having some ApeCoin tokens is probably a smart call. I'm definitely going to add it to my GameFi portfolio. So it's like 20 to 25 different projects, $100 in each of them, trying to nail one that's going to 100x. Outside of that, I think I'm going to take some time to really seriously evaluate chasing down a Bored Ape NFT. I certainly don't have $300,000 laying around, but maybe we can come up with a cool video idea to I don't know, trade a Dogecoin up to a Bored Ape or something like that, and see if we can get our hands on it that way. But yeah, I guess wrapping it up, I like it. I like it a lot. I'm probably gonna buy a bunch, and hopefully it works out.